And we're live. Welcome back to the LOOPcast. It's Tom, Erica, and Josh. We have a great show prepared for you today, and I'm going to start up top with something that definitely did not receive enough coverage last Friday. We had 2 judges arrested by the Trump administration, and I don't think people dug into it nearly far enough. We're going to go over all the details, and it just gets crazier and crazier the more I dig into it. But other than that, we got some other topics going on. Erica, what else are we covering today?
Yeah, so of course, Pope Francis was laid to rest in St. Mary Major. We're going to go over the funeral, who was there, what was done, little Catholic insider look at the funeral rites. But also, it's a world historical event. We had a lot of interesting photo ops between, one Trump and one Vladimir Zelensky. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And then Christopher Columbus. We got some good news about Columbus, but we will drop that later in the show.
Yep. I figured we had some Columbus heads on here.
Yeah.
But welcome to everyone joining us here live in the chat, 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Good morning, guys. And before we get into that, we have to thank the sponsor of today's episode. And I was actually perusing through the commencement speakers for these schools. University of Dallas has a great one we're going to get to. But in a world where people can often feel alone or like nothing really matters, the University of Dallas is different. It's a place where students can build strong friendships, grow in their faith, and work hard to learn important things, all while searching for truth, wisdom, and goodness. University of Dallas alumnus Brian Birch is responding to this quest in an extraordinary way. Donald Trump has nominated him as ambassador to the Holy See. The University of Dallas applauds Brian for his personal witness, advocacy, and the great work that he has been called to do. As University of Dallas President Jonathan J. Sanford stated, Brian is a man of deep Catholic faith, strong character, and genuine prudence. We could not be prouder of him. Learn more about Brian's alma mater, the University of Dallas, and join Brian's fellow alumni who are praying for him during his ongoing nomination process by clicking on the link in the description below. Thank you to University of Dallas for sponsoring this episode.
Thanks, guys. Great school. Check it out.
And that brings us to our first topic. So over Friday, there were 2 arrests made, and a lot of no one is above the law tweets resurfacing all over the place. But we had two cases, one of them really crazy, one of them kind of crazy. I'll start up top with kind of crazy. We'll just do a slow burn
real quick
here.
Before we go into the details, super quick, I promise, Tom, on this.
No
what
problem.
bothers me so much about the media coverage of it, it was just the Trump administration arrested 2 judges. Yeah. It made it seem like in and of itself, it must be an evil thing that was done, that they were arrested. Mm-hmm. And they just kind of let it hang out there. Like, let's
arresting judges. Guys.
Well, hey,
why?
He's a Nazi. Yeah.
Guess what? This could be a great opportunity for the people on this podcast and our chat to decide whether or not it was evil. And I believe I saw some people making comparisons to Anne Frank. So we'll see if this holds up. Judge Hannah Dugan from Wisconsin. Fun fact, former executive director of Catholic Charities, I believe, in the Wisconsin area. She's the Milwaukee County Circuit Judge. She was arrested by the FBI on April 25th, and she's charged with 2 felonies, obstruction and concealing an individual to prevent arrest. So she was protecting an illegal immigrant, Eduardo Flores Ruiz. He is a 30-year-old Mexican national. So the specific arrest was interesting because it was in the courtroom and ICE was there, and ICE had an administrative warrant and planned to arrest this individual outside the courtroom. I'll get into the charges on the illegal immigrant here coming up. But the court documents allege that Dugan, upon learning of the agent's presence, became upset, confronted them in a public hallway, and demanded that they consult the chief judge. She then reportedly directed Flores Ruiz and his attorney to exit through a non-public hallway, allowing him to temporarily evade ICE. Agents later apprehended Flores Ruiz after a foot chase. So showed up to the courtroom. She makes a big scene, gets in the ICE people's faces, says, hey, sneak out this back door. You can get out of here. Now, okay, my initial questions, right? I have so many questions. This is like a movie scene, TV show, like low budget thing. So why was this individual showing up to court for something unrelated to being illegal? Why was he not deported already? And I did a little bit of digging into Milwaukee. So Milwaukee County, while not a sanctuary city, has a lot of sanctuary policies. So they welcoming community for immigrants, emphasize non-discrimination and limiting the use of county resources for federal immigration enforcement. The city has also supported initiatives to protect immigrant communities, such as providing legal aid for deportation cases. So, while not necessarily sanctuary, very friendly. Who is this person, right? 30-year-old Mexican national. He was already deported once in 2013. So he's broken into our country now 2 times. Why was he in this courtroom was a good question as well. So he is over, they said, misdemeanor battery cases. Apparently, he struck a male roommate 30 times, knocked him to the ground, strangled him for about 6 seconds. He is accused of hitting a female roommate multiple times in the head, causing pain, elbowing another woman in the arm as she attempted to intervene. All the victims required hospital treatment for their injuries. So that is why he is showing up to this courtroom.
You were in the courtroom,
wants to
right?
keep this person here in the country.
Yes. For the second time, because he was already deported once in 2013.
Because the Democratic Party needs their voters.
I guess.
That's a good point.
I have a statement from the mayor of Milwaukee I'd like to play here just the beginning.
Defendant is ordered. There'll be a court appearance. That didn't happen in this case. I think what happened here was just showboating. They're just trying to have this show of force, and in the process of doing this in a courthouse where people need to go for court proceedings, they're scaring people away from participating in the process. So if they are witness to a crime or something of the sort, they're not going to go and participate, and that makes our community less safe.
So the issue is with how the arrest happened, not necessarily that there was an investigation.
Again, I don't know all the things that happened there, but I'm saying that the way that they went about this, in this ham-handed, haphazard way that this administration has been doing since day one, it's driving people away, or has potential to drive people away from participating in court proceedings, which makes our community less safe.
Makes community less safe.
I have so many questions.
Less safe? Illegal immigrants who beat the crap out of their roommates.
Right. You know what would make me feel unsafe? If I was in court to testify against a man who had beaten me and sent me to the hospital, and the judge in that courtroom took the man who had battered me and released him into a hallway and told him to get lost. That would make me feel unsafe as a victim of a crime.
Well, you zeroed in because the people who were beaten were actually afraid to show up to the courtroom. It was actually, I don't think they were even able to get some of them to testify.
Oh my God.
Shocker. I mean, they were
community less safe.
Well, and not only that, but he's saying, the Trump administration chose to arrest her and it was such a big deal. She's the one who chose to turn her courtroom into a big show for the media it's a circus, like letting the guy go out a back hallway and requiring the ICE agents to then chase him on foot. Like, now she's putting agents of the law in danger. I would imagine that one of the reasons you would arrest someone in a courtroom was because it was safe. Like, they don't have a weapon on them, I would think.
Right.
And there's going to be no shootout. Right. There's going to be no car chases that could put the public at danger. It's probably the safest way and the least showy way to arrest someone. And
it might be more showy, but it's definitely the safest. It's definitely the safest.
Yeah, and I want to get to the second one, which is even crazier than this, but I mean, there's a lot of fundamental points here. I'm not a legal expert, but the concept of sanctuary cities and lack of participation with the federal government that the American people voted into place does make everyone less safe. And I was even watching a ride along with these ICE raids, which I think is actually really smart from ICE, just to be transparent with the public on what they're doing. They have the exact charges of the people that they're going after, child sex predators, things like that, here illegally. And they have to wait in Boston, for example, they had to wait until someone goes to work because they can't get a warrant to go into the house because the sanctuary city that knows that they've committed these crimes have let them out of jail and will refuse to cooperate with federal authorities. It's like,
right. They won't give them a warrant to go into.
No one above the law is not aging well. Would probably be the best thing I could say, but how could we? I just, everything that happens now just gives me more and more respect for President Trump, of the just shocking layers of corruption and evil that he has to peel back here to just do basic justice in America. Right? Yeah. Well, not even the second one, but this is crazy.
No one is above the law. I find it so fascinating, as if they're the ones who, if some district attorney had handcuffed Donald Trump, even now as president, they would be cheering him on. Mm-hmm. So you'd be okay with the president of the United States being in handcuffs, but not a judge. Now, in fact, actually, the Constitution makes clear local district attorneys and the police officers do not have the authority in our Constitution to try to arrest the president of the United States. If the president of the United States has done crimes, he needs to be tried by the people through our elected representatives in the House and in the Senate. And that's how that is done.
Mm-hmm.
But like everyone else in the country needs to go
Judges
through the normal
included.
process. Like, I'm sorry. And if a judge breaks the law, like, why would they be exempt? And you're right. They tweet all the time about this stuff. Like, this is the downfall of the republic now that a judge has been impeached. Like, really? Has everyone forgotten about Elsie Hastings? Elsie Hastings was a judge. He was nominated by Jimmy Carter and approved by the Senate. And then what happened, right? The FBI finds out this guy accepted a bribe. Okay. So, like, we got this guy dead to rights. The United States Senate says, yeah, this is horrible. They convict him. They remove him from office. They impeached a judge. Oh, democracy. Yeah, it was fine. Everyone agreed. Like, this guy taking a bribe is horrible. We should get him out. But of course, it's still the Democratic Party. So this guy goes down to Florida and runs for office and served in Congress for 20-some years until he finally kicked the bucket and died in 2021.
It really is the swamp, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, just absolute corruption. But the Senate could have actually prevented him from running for further office. Like, let's just get him out of there.
Are you guys ready for the second judge?
I am ready. Bring it.
All right. So we have, I love it, in quotes, we have recently retired Judge Jose Joel Cano. And the reason I have that in quotes is because some are speculating it wasn't a willing retirement, that it was for a reason. So here might be why. Here's a picture of Judge Cano with some people in his kitchen, all of them illegal immigrants while he was the judge. Not just illegal immigrants. One was actually a member of Tren de Aragua, and we'll get to some of the evidence that says some of that. So in New Mexico, he was arrested late Thursday after harboring a suspected gang member, Christian, I see it like Christian, Christian Ortega Lopez, had been living in the couple's guest house while he was working as a handyman. A February raid at the Cano residence led Ortega Lopez's arrest, while a separate search of their daughter's home uncovered firearms, some allegedly linked to him. So the Canos currently face federal charges of tampering with evidence and conspiracy. If you're wondering what that is, both of them, the husband and wife, destroyed cell phones with evidence on it belonging to Ortega Lopez, smashing with a hammer, discarding it in a dumpster, believing it contained photos or videos that could negatively implicate Ortega Lopez. So if you're wondering what some of those pictures are, I was doing a little bit more digging. Some of the posts depicted graphic images, including a decapitated body, showing him with firearms, tattoos, clothing, and hand gestures associated with the gang, as well as messages on these seized cell phones, including indicating gang affiliation. So he snuck into the country in 2023 over a barbed wire fence in El Paso. And then Nancy met him while he's working as a handyman, hired him to install a glass door. And then she offered residence in the casita, her guest house, behind their Las Cruces home, where two other undocumented Venezuelans were living.
Oh gosh.
This was the third one. It's like she's collecting them like infinity stones.
And her husband's a judge?
Her husband was a judge this entire time.
What?
This entire time. Recently retired, quote unquote. But then he was just banned by the Supreme Court in the state from running for office ever again because of this.
Gosh.
So he retired, quote unquote, in February because all of this was coming out. And now there's more stuff about like pictures of his daughter with the gang members holding their firearms, which being an illegal immigrant and having a firearm is also a crime. I guess he sees like 15 years in prison. I wish we had a psychologist here. What could possibly push a judge to how I don't understand. Like your job is to
have a violent, not just an illegal immigrant. Yeah. It's one thing to shelter some illegal immigrants in your home because you feel pity for them or something like that. But in this case, we're talking about a violent illegal immigrant, not just somebody who broke our laws, but it was committed violence, right?
Yep.
Into his home. And it's not like this is some single judge, dude. You bring this violent criminal into your home with your wife, dude.
Something's weird here.
I think there's some weird, sketchy stuff going on.
Weird vibes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There's like, what are the three drivers of human sin? We've got like sex, money, power. Is that what it is? It's one of those three.
I don't need
choose your own adventure, kids, but I think we know what's going on here.
Where do we go from here? I really, Amy Klobuchar, of course. So, and I've already seen people tweeting free Eduardo. Like they want to free. I don't know if it's the Tren de Aragua guy, but the guy from Milwaukee that beat up his roommates. I'm already seeing tweets free him.
Tom, do we have any like line of defense yet, or is it too soon? This was on Friday. Like, what is the defense lawyer going to come out with? Yeah. What does Amy say? Come on, Amy.
Tweet, this is not normal. The administration's arrest of a sitting judge in Wisconsin is a drastic move that threatens the rule of law. While we don't have all the details, this is a grave step and undermines our system of checks and balances. What do you suggest we do with people that break the law? Especially if they're a judge.
She's the patroness of suburban wino women, or just so, you know.
Oh, Josh, your neck of the woods.
Oh, my gosh.
Horrible.
What do you...
Like, what is the point? Because you hear this is not normal. And I'm like, you're right, Amy. Something's not normal here. And then she's like, they arrested the judge. And you're like, no, the abnormal thing is that there is a judge who invited a convicted gang member who has committed violence into the house with his wife. And that's not normal.
While he was a judge.
This is my point. I try to tell people, like, when someone points out to me the foibles, the mistakes, the stupidness of some of the actions of people who are in the Republican Party, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it.
That's dumb.
Yeah, human institution, could do a lot better. Absolutely.
Yep.
But the other party is full of psychopaths who welcome in violent criminals into their home. Like, what in the hell? Like, these people need to be in handcuffs. Like, this is crazy. And Amy Klobuchar, you were defending this?
What do you think? What do you think Amy Klobuchar would have said if a judge tried to sneak a J6 defendant out the back door of court?
The end of the republic. Put them in jail. The life sentence. Maybe even firing squad. They might even bring back the death penalty.
Yeah, she would be the death penalty, right?
Oh my God. What if someone tried to sneak Mark Houck out of the back of the courthouse? In the DOJ. It's like these people. This would have been, maybe I would have thought this was reasonable in 2013, before my entire government was just completely, basically destroyed because of Trump. It was all for Trump. It's like, well, Trump did this, so we have to do this. This is my personal favorite. Josh, if you're saying this is insane, I got a good chuckle out of this one. Here we go for the audios. For the people celebrating the weaponized arrest of Judge Hannah Dugan by the Trump administration because she, quote, broke the law, just remember that it was also used against it also used to be against the law to hide folks like Anne Frank. What side of history are you on?
Wait, they're comparing Anne Frank to this guy?
To the judge.
What's wrong with these people?
To this judge, yeah.
The female judge. I mean, they have the same haircut. That's about the only thing I would say.
They're both women.
I mean, honestly, in one sense, there were Germans that were keeping Jews in secret so they wouldn't be exterminated and killed. In this case, the judge is preventing violent criminals from being, brought to justice or being deported. Like, again, this idea, violent illegal immigrants are not the victims. They are creating victims. What in the world are with these people?
And then here's
unbelievable.
Here's a sweet compilation of Joe Biden,
above the law.
Mark Hamill, Keith Olbermann,
Chuck
Schumer, Joe Scarborough. In America, no one is above the law.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that.
Yeah, I liked Senator Tina Smith also gave us a little, she goes, understand what this is. If Kash Patel and Donald Trump don't like a judge, they think they can arrest them. This is stunning. We must stand up to this blatant power grab. I mean,
that's what I'm getting at.
He committed a crime. Yeah.
Can we go beyond?
It's this idea of low information voters. They feel like they actually do not want Americans to know exactly what happened in this circumstance. They only want these senators only want people to see one side of it. It reminds me, and I know this isn't as good for the audio listeners, but this image, it's always my favorite image of media distortion here. We show it to the screen here.
This is shown in like college textbooks. Yeah.
Yes.
So like this guy is stabbing this other guy running away, but then the media makes it look like the other guy stabbing him. It's like, again, we have this circumstance like, oh my gosh, President Trump is arresting judges. He's so upset that he's not getting the ruling he wants. He's just arresting these judges. But like, that's not what they're saying. They lead you to think that. But no, you're arresting this guy who had a gangbanger in his house. I mean, give me a break.
Mm-hmm. This might be candidate for deep dive of the week, but I wanted to bring this up to you. I think it was a tweet by Claire Lehman basically saying, Donald Trump really needs to be careful here, or Republicans' power really need to be careful here, because stuff that they can do if they cross the red line can be used against them in the future. and using that specifically in regards to taking away the tax exempt status of Harvard, of arresting judges. Do you have anything you'd like to say back to that, Josh? Are you concerned about the potential backfiring of stuff like this?
Well, like on the Harvard one, I mean, like they took away the tax exempt status from Bob Jones University like in 1983 for crying out loud. You know, so give me this.
All those red lines were crossed by someone else in the last 20 to 30 years.
Again, the biggest thing here I would say with the rise of Donald Trump has been the appetite amongst Republican voters. We are done with asymmetrical warfare. If you want to return to a system where we have proper traditions and mores, and we agree, just because we have the votes, we're not going to shove this down your throat. To have some sort of a semblance of, you know, we're in this together, you know, we fight to the end and you get your way or we get your. But Barack Obama embodied this more than anyone in my lifetime. The advent of total war. Like, we don't care. Look at the scoreboard. Screw you. We have the votes. We're going to pass it, whatever. There used to be in Washington this sense of you don't want to go too far and dunk on your opponents because someday they'll be in power. And that's why, like, well, what if we nuked the field? But the Democrats, they're like, they couldn't help themselves. They're like, they thought themselves, we're going to have the permanent majority as more and more as Hispanics come up of age and become voting. We're going to have this permanent Democratic majority. And so we'll never have to worry about these white Christian conservative grumpy pantses anymore. And so we'll just shove this through and keep going until the country's fully, you know, communist or whatever. You know, so again, if we want to return to some sort of constitutional order, I welcome it. I would love it. But we're not there. And this idea that we're just going to, well, you don't want to do that because it's been used against us 10 times a day. I mean, give me a break. It's all the time they're using against us.
Yeah.
100%.
That's how you become controlled opposition. Speaking on the Obama front, I was going back through his presidency. He had a ton of initiatives that he did that lost 0 to 9 at the Supreme Court level. I think record amount. And it was crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But he was just you know, I'm going to do it.
He pushed the envelope. I mean,
right.
Yeah. And he subjected the victims of those decisions to those years of lawfare that they had to suffer through. I mean, think of the Little Sisters, right?
Yeah. The punishment.
One, but it was 7 years.
The process is the punishment.
Process is punishment, for sure.
You know, the one of which I mean, obviously all the stuff with the bake the cake, damn it, and all that other stuff. There was also the, you know, the other 0 to 9 verdict the Supreme Court put down against Obama was the Hosanna Tabor case.
Yes.
This is where the Obama administration tried to suggest that religious organizations could not fire somebody who was completely, totally against their church's teachings. Like, well, it's, you know, they wanted it so narrow so that if like a Catholic, in this case, it was a Lutheran school, but if a Catholic school said, well, you know, you're living in adultery or you're, you know, committing other acts in publicly, you're married to a person of the same sex, we don't want you at this school. Should be their right. Should be a free country. And the Obama administration was like, no. And they tried to fight and they got spanked at the Supreme Court. Now, it wouldn't be 9-0 anymore.
But they didn't learn their lesson.
It would be like, probably.
It wouldn't be 9-0 anymore.
Probably be 8-1. I mean,
Ketanji Brown Jackson would just say, if you don't like it, you could just go somewhere else.
Go to a different school. Right.
Just homeschool. What's the problem here? Man, seriously.
And by the way, there was a graphic of the number of like words each of the justices had said.
Yes.
Did you guys see this?
I did.
Who
see
was
that.
number one?
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
And by the way, the top 4 of the 9
Overcompensating.
all have something in common too, Erica.
What's the? I know. No, don't tell it. XX chromosomes. We think. Yep.
Pair that with the Michelle Obama podcast of just saying like I think she's like the problem with black women is they never speak their mind.
I know. Like we never speak about our pain.
Yeah, that's been a real problem. Yeah, right.
The Michelle Obama podcast, man. And then, sorry, this is just a total tangent. I love it. I love the Michelle Obama podcast. It's one of my new favorites.
Yeah.
She did an entire like 5 minutes about basically how she was so selfish she didn't go to Jimmy Carter's funeral, even though she knew that she should. She's like, I know that I should have gone there, but sometimes you really just need to do something for yourself.
Yeah.
And you know how I made sure that I didn't? I always have an outfit prepared for everything. And so I made sure that I wouldn't have the proper outfit for the event so that I would force myself not to go. I'm not kidding. That was 5 minutes of the show.
Because it was the right thing for me.
Right.
It was like,
what a great message.
And whoever the actress is who was with her, she's like, yes.
Oh, it's Taraji Henson. Yes, go off,
so
Queen.
Much. You suffer so much. And Michelle's like, I
Go
know.
off, Queen.
It's like, you can't, you almost can't make this up. Like,
so
honestly,
sad.
watching the Michelle Obama podcast makes me want to give up podcasting. I think it's like, it's not cool anymore. You know what I mean? There's like a moment where everyone realizes, like, okay, this person's doing it. I got to get out of this business. So we'll see if we keep it going.
She's already perfect. You know, no need for anything else.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get on
Problem
now.
with me is I'm too awesome.
Actually, I'm not kidding. That's
Do
been
not
the plot
clip that,
of
Simon.
every big budget Hollywood movie, probably the last 10 years. Is it's a strong, empowered female that their biggest weakness is that they are perfect and they don't know it.
Yeah.
That was actually the plot of Rey in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel.
That was Captain Marvel, all of them. Girl boss plot.
So Erica, I'll say that to you. You know, your biggest weakness is that you just you're perfect.
I don't think that's my problem. I've never suffered from inferiority complex. I definitely had a problem with superiority complex though, and I'm working hard to overcome it. That's why I work with Josh. He's helping me.
Oh man, yeah, it's great. It's great that you're on this show. We'll help you out with that. Okay, before we get to the next section, we have Pope Francis' funeral. Rest in peace, Pope Francis. Please pray for the repose of his soul. Tons of people gathered. 250,000 people attended the funeral outside the Vatican. It also brought together heads of state, as we're going to get into. There's a few images of some intense negotiations going on. But I just thought it'd be cool to go through the pictures really quick. CBS News captured a lot of cool stuff, but you look at the iconic St. Peter, statue of St. Peter here over. Really cool. Trying to
We know how to do it, man. We drip it out, as the kids say. Look at that.
Yeah, I will say I was interested just to see. There's a lot of hostile media outlets to the Catholic faith in general. But I'd say as this rolls around, I was surprised with the fascination of the ritual, the imagery. I mean, you see some of these pictures, it doesn't surprise you.
You know why they do it though?
Why?
Because TV likes good TV. I mean, this is good TV. Like
it's stunning
the
visuals.
Swiss
Look at that.
Guard uniforms, all the cardinals wearing red together, and then the one guy popping out, and was it like a brown? It's like
gold.
That's gold. That's
gold,
Eastern,
yeah.
Right, Bishop, right?
Ah, cool.
So cool. That. Yeah, they had a really neat. They had the Eastern. They had it was either a Greek or a Ukrainian, but they had them chanting. Well, you can see them incensing the coffin there. They had the Eastern Rite chant going on, and it's a very haunting. Definitely not a Western sound at all. And it was very beautiful. All that inclusion. And then there was one bishop in black, and I believe I forget the title that they use, but the Archpatriarch Bartholomew of Constantinople. So he's the highest ranking member of the Eastern Church. And they sat him, he has to be in front of all the Latin Rite cardinals. So he was like in a chair out in front in black of all the red. And it was just, again, like striking visual grandeur. And it just was so beautiful.
I've been like, I could be in the same row as these guys.
Yeah. Except you're the
kind of awkward.
Prelate. Yeah, so cool.
Producer Rosie gave me a bunch of hard words to pronounce for what was included in his coffin. Are you ready? We have his mitre and his crozier. Crozier or crozier?
Crow's ear, like the ear of a crow.
Okay. I went all French on you guys.
Crozier.
A pouch of commemorative coins, one for every year of his pontificate, an official papal document known as the Rogito, with a record of his key accomplishments as Pope, which was read at his funeral, a rosary, and his fisherman's ring, which is symbolically broken when he is buried with it.
I love that tradition. They smash the ring, so no one will ever steal anything with it again.
And it's unique for every Pope, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
And then the person who sealed the coffin was Cardinal Roger Mahony. So I was wondering maybe, he was the guy involved in so much of the sex abuse cover-up in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. I don't know, like, he's probably going to outlive me, but maybe I should have it in my thing. If he's still alive, he could be there to put the nail in my coffin, and then one of my friends will just put handcuffs on him right as he
Love
does.
it. That was so weird.
It would be like arresting the judges.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, for those who don't know,
I'd like to give him orange
Mahoney,
vestments, if you know what I'm saying. He deserves
Cardinal
Mahoney,
deeply implicated in a sex abuse cover-up in the Diocese of LA, I think.
Yeah, right.
And
Mahoney,
it just
yeah.
moved around priests, and he's too old to vote, but he was a part of Pope Francis's funeral ceremonies, so pretty controversial and gross.
Gomez was considered too conservative, I guess, which is kind of interesting because he's more moderate. He was never given the red hat by Francis. Like, it's the largest diocese in the United States of America, and Francis never made him a cardinal.
So crazy.
So Gomez isn't there to vote. This is so bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, he never gave the red hat to Chaput because he was too conservative. So he's not there.
Yeah. We need a clip up of every time. I think this might be your most talked about issue on this podcast. We've done the podcast now for like 2 years. I'm going to say like in the 10 times you brought up that Gomez has not had the hat. I mean, it is. It's tough.
It's the most obviously egregious thing that Francis has done that makes no sense except for petty politics. You know, that and the Latin Mass suppression.
Yeah, for sure.
But Latin Mass suppression, you can actually give and this, you can make some argument. What's the argument to not give Gomez the red hat, to not make him a cardinal? There's really no argument. It can't be made.
Yeah,
that's why I bring it up.
Are you ready for Pope Francis's special requests?
Yes.
We have, in his will, Pope Francis requested a modest tomb inscribed with only the name Franciscus. So I believe that was the wood, because usually it's a little bit
wood coffin.
more
You do 3 layers usually.
Yeah.
One's like wood and one's like cypress. I forget all the different. That's the tradition, the custom, or whatever. So
yeah.
But like the media made a big deal about this. Only wrote Franciscus. I mean, Benedict had Benedict and then PP and then 16. It wasn't like that much more. I mean, like, just said he was Pope. Big deal.
He had his burial site at the Santa Maria Maggiore Basilica instead of St. Peter's, which would he be the first Pope to not be buried at St. Peter's?
He's number 7.
That was a trivia question last time.
That was last time.
Oh.
Hugo was busy sharing it.
No. Listen. Okay.
Rough weekend.
Yeah, long weekend.
Hugo doesn't sleep right now. He has a newborn at home.
Yeah. So there's been 6 already. He'll be the 7th.
7th. Okay, great. And then a group of marginalized individuals were invited to pay their respects during the funeral procession on Saturday, including poor people, homeless, prisoners, migrants, and controversially, transgender individuals.
Okay, that's a little weird on the last one, but
There's
sure.
No as a
people who are
person.
mentally unstable, they need help too. Sure.
Yep. He wore black shoes instead of red, and I believe that is it. But I will say this is a politics podcast. This was a very unique opportunity, and photographers definitely cashed in on this. Almost many world leaders were in the same place at the same time, which is kind of rare outside of summits. But this was basically like the Papal Summit, Roman Summit. So we had Donald Trump, First Lady Melania Trump there, Ukrainian President Zelensky, and the Ukrainian First Lady as well. Emmanuel Macron from France, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Spanish King Philippe VI and Queen Letizia, Hungarian President Viktor Orbán, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Wow, that's a long one. And then Indian President Drupadi. Geez, this is tough. Murmu.
Good job, Pogo.
Thank you.
Rosie's
like really
super diverse.
Bush pronouncing his name.
But I could do George Bush naturally. I don't need to pretend. I don't need to have a fake Southern accent. Well, actually, that's not fake. But.
Rosie's cheering you on in the chat.
Okay, but then you get this picture out of it, which was, of course, made the rounds. No. This is not a confessional. Some are saying this is
it looks like a confession was going on. Yeah,
maybe there's some confessions being made, but the White House said this meeting was very productive. It was a conversation between Donald Trump and Vladimir Zelensky. Do you know what building this is in, actually?
This is St. Peter's Basilica. They just pulled in a couple of chairs, little red chairs there, and told everyone to get lost. And they just
do 3 Hail Marys, the best 3 Hail Marys you've ever done.
I love that. I absolve you from your sin. Oh, wait, no. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
that was their first meeting that they've had together face to face since that infamous Oval Office with JD Vance throwdown there.
The translator didn't help on that one at the White House. And this was no translator, just those 2 men. And it came right on the heels of Trump bashing Putin for going, sending in some missiles and stuff like that. So he was like, hey, this is Vladimir's best shot to try to get something good.
Yeah. If you watch the video footage of the, there's no sound, but you can watch the video footage of the meeting right before they sit down in those chairs that you saw together. And President Macron of France is there, Zelensky's there, and Trump's there. And you can see Trump kind of like,
there too, I think.
and Keir Starmer's there as well. And Trump basically is like, Zelensky's pulling Macron over with him, and he's like trying to get him into the little huddle too. And Trump just like basically pushes him away and pulls Zelensky over and sits him down. And it was just it's just the two of us. Man, mano a mano. Let's go.
And it sounds like both sides were saying it's productive. Zelensky's saying productive as well. There was recent escalation. A Russian missile attack on Kiev happened April 24th, killed 12 people. International leaders condemning, highlighting ongoing hostilities. I believe he pointed it out. Donald Trump pointed out, like, hey, am I being strung along, basically? What's going on with Russia? They're working on peace, obviously. I think a big update to this is that Zelensky and Ukraine are becoming open to potentially conceding some territory to Russia to end the war, which is big progress. That was not the case during the confrontation in the White House. So hopefully we move the needle here. Maybe some Holy Spirit, the counselor, was guiding that conversation. I hope so. So we'll see. Yeah, that's where we're at. Good news. Erica, you were excited to bring up good news today.
I was excited. Christopher Columbus is back. And I want to just really set the stage here because everyone's like, oh my gosh, Trump is
Christopher Columbus, the colonizer?
Christopher Columbus, colonizer.
The liberator.
The liberator.
Wait, the white genocider? How is this in the good news section? This doesn't make sense.
Tom, I'm here to help you break it down. You ready?
Please do.
Okay. So where did he go, one might ask, that he would have to come back? Okay. So the thing is, Columbus Day is still a federal holiday, always has been, because it takes, as Josh will note, it takes an act of Congress to either instate or get rid of a federal holiday. That being said, effectively, Columbus Day was canceled. So just a little history lesson. The holiday originated in the annual celebrations of Italian American heritage in San Francisco, of all places. 1934, the Knights of Columbus and the New York City Italian community requested Franklin Delano Roosevelt declare it a national observance on Columbus Day. So Roosevelt and the Congress together, because Congress actually did stuff back then, they made October 12th a national holiday 3 years later. And in 1972, Josh's good friend Richard Nixon signed a proclamation making the official date of the holiday the second Monday in October. So fast forward.
I don't like the Monday Uniform Holiday Act. But.
Oh, okay. Well, we can.
But I'm glad it's a holiday.
You should send in your request.
It should be the 12th every time.
Okay. All right. Fast forward to 2020 in the summer of George Floyd, the summer of BLM. We decide collectively as a society that Columbus is to blame for every evil that occurred in the Western Hemisphere after 1492, and probably every evil that occurred in the Eastern as well, because he was just like the bad guy, genocider. So he gets canceled culturally. 33 statues came down in cities, including my own hometown, New Haven, Connecticut, that summer. And in 2021, President Biden becomes the first president to federally recognize, even though he's not allowed to actually create a federal holiday. But he also passed a constitutional amendment.
I thought the Democrats were concerned about people following the law.
Listen,
and norms and customs.
Boy, if I get a surprise for you, Tom.
No Democrat is above changing the law for their own interests.
All right, go back that.
So he has Indigenous Peoples Day. He issued a proclamation about the greatness of the Indigenous peoples and how much they have been put down upon and all that, all true things. The same day, he also issued a proclamation on Columbus Day, celebrating the contribution. Oh wait, no. The proclamation he issued for that first Columbus Indigenous Peoples Day joint celebration was about how there were complications with European explorations and it had painful impacts on Indigenous communities. So that was Biden. And in the subsequent years, he continued to issue these proclamations of Indigenous People Days, blah, blah, blah. So did Trump reinstate Columbus Day as a federal holiday? No, because it was never not a federal holiday. But to me, Trump is the master. And Josh, you were saying this earlier. I'm just going to use your words if that's okay. Trump is the master of the symbolic cultural gestures. He understands what time it is. And he says, I'm bringing Columbus Day back from the ashes. So, of course, Axios comes out and is like, you can't bring it back. It was never gone. To which any American with eyeballs could say, "Are you kidding me? You completely canceled Columbus Day. You punished people who wanted to save their statues by calling them bigots and all sorts of like Indian haters. And oh my gosh." So no, it was gone. It was burned to the ground. And Trump is bringing it back. He's saying, "I am hereby reinstating Columbus Day under the same rules, the same dates and locations as it has had for all the many decades before." And so Columbus Day is back.
See,
we don't know what that means exactly yet, but we have permission to celebrate, maybe? Is that what it means? Indigenous.
The only thing that could make this better is if Trump would have put this out with the screen grab from The Sopranos of them talking about celebrating Columbus Day.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's a good one.
So much bad stuff in that show, but that one that is
good meme material.
Yeah, they had great memes, great characters. I would say to anyone who wants to like find out more about Columbus and you're anticipating perhaps family Sunday dinner where people are going to dunk on Columbus some more and how horrible Trump is and how white supremacist this is.
Yeah,
I would arm yourselves. There is a fantastic lecture over at Institute of Catholic Culture. It's actually really like full of fun stories too. It's not a boring academic lecture. So go check out St. Christopher Columbus ? And no, he's not a saint.
Well, wait, which one is this, Erica?
Institute of Catholic Culture. Rosie can throw it in the chat for everybody. Yep.
And
Christopher Check, Dr. Christopher Check. Yep.
Not only, Erica, obviously your husband works for the National Knights of Columbus, and I'm a proud member of the Knights of Columbus. Although I'm still
no feather,
Viking heritage, so I'm going to celebrate not just Columbus Day, but also Leif Erikson Day 3 days earlier because did find the North.
I love Norse exploration. Norse exploration really like.
Wait, so did Leif find Canada? Modern Canada?
He did. Okay. And Canada stinks, so he left. No, kidding. To our listeners in Canada, it's just a joke.
Speaking of, they have a big election coming up.
It's today.
No, it's today. It's going on
today.
As we speak.
We'll know tomorrow.
I actually have a conspiracy theory on this.
Do it.
Is it that Trump hates Pierre Poilievre? I feel like he has
I think
to.
He's intentionally trying to tank him because Pierre didn't go against. He hasn't been hammering on illegal immigration really, and I think he's sabotaging him.
I completely agree with this take. Right, because so I looked up an insane poll. The second most important issue to Canadians is responding to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine
really
that?
Like in their hearts.
Right. But in America, could you imagine like another foreign leader occupying that much space? I think it's right behind cost of living, barely. So it's clearly a big problem. And then Donald Trump tosses this one out. Untruth. Good luck to the great people of Canada. Elect a man who has the strength, wisdom to cut your taxes in half, increase your military power for free to the highest level in the world. Have your car, steel, aluminum, lumber, energy, and all other businesses quadruple in size, all caps, with zero tariffs or taxes. If Canada becomes the cherished 51st state of the United States of America, no more artificially drawn line for many years ago. Look how beautiful this landmass would be. Free access with no border, all positive, no negatives. It was meant to be. America can no longer subsidize Canada with the hundreds of billions of dollars a year that we have been spending in the past. It makes no sense unless Canada is a state. I think that he hates this guy. He wants him to lose.
He wants to sabotage the conservative alternate, Pierre Poilievre, who literally 7 months ago was thinking to himself, I'm going to be the next prime minister.
Yeah.
He was sky high. He had a
Trudeau
massive
was thinking
lead.
Canada, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then Trudeau quits and they pull in this finance minister, Carney. And
I have to say, I'm not with the Don on this one.
Interesting.
I like a good troll, but I think it's gone a little too far.
I don't like it at all. I
know. I don't want Canada to fall under Mark Carney. I mean, he's like Trudeau 2.0. I don't want them to suffer through that. And I really don't want Canada to be in America. Like, I want Canada to be great Canada. And so I'm not with Trump on this one. And I think it's just gone a little too far.
I'm with them. They can keep the maple leaf in their state flag if they wish, but I say bring them home.
I want
the thing is
nationalism
properly understood, which I am a proponent of. I want Canada to be Canadian. I want Italy to be Italian, and I want England to be English,
and Mexico to be Mexican.
Right.
Couldn't you argue that all of this jousting actually makes Canadians more unified?
Probably does, but at the expense of prolonging any opportunity for them to get rid of their, communist current government. Yeah. So it comes at a price.
I don't think, but I guess my issue with it is I don't think Poilievre is a great candidate either. I think he's kind of dazzled everyone with his apple biting, but he's terrible on immigration.
Yeah,
but he would be better. But he's not pro-made. I mean, look at it's a terrible set of choices you can say, you can argue, but I don't think you can argue that Poilievre would not be legions better for the Canadian people than the alternative, right?
That's true, but he just didn't answer. He didn't respond in the right way. He should have taken the opportunity to bash Donald Trump and say, but which sounds weird for me to say because I'm pro-Trump, but he should again.
He didn't read the tea leaves on that one.
4D chess. Got to figure it out. Josh, I believe you stole one of mine, but I'm happy that you did.
Oh, well. Are we at the Twilight Zone already?
No, This is the Pope draft.
Oh, I didn't. This is good news.
We're in the Pope draft.
This one was maybe my favorite video from over the weekend for sure.
Here
we go.
Are you guys watching the NFL draft?
No, we're watching the Pope draft.
So many good prospects in the College of Cardinals.
Yeah, like Peter Turkson.
And Luis Antonio Tagle.
And Shador Sanders.
I got my money on Peter.
What? No way.
No.
He's a scrub.
Youngest Cardinal ever.
God couldn't bless a blind kid if he was stuck inside of an orphanage.
Check out my rookie year Pope Benedict Cardinal.
Yeah. You're not Fanatics?
No, Mitchell and Ness.
You guys think they'll take Shador?
I heard he bombed his confessional interviews.
Do you honestly believe that Turkson is more popeable than Paroline?
Advocate of the poor, okay? Speaks 5 languages.
All right,
He's fluent in Latin.
Dude, it's the Vatican. Everyone speaks Latin. He's a playmaker, okay? He negotiates treaties.
When did you get drafted as a Lutheran priest?
You son of a bitch!
With the first to pick in the Pope draft, the Vatican selects Shador Sanders.
The payout there, of course, is Deion Sanders' kid. Whoever thought was going to be a first-round draft pick, and then he didn't get picked till like the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns. And so there's an added extra humor in there for those who didn't understand the final punch out there. But
my personal favorite small part of that was when they were doing the announcement for the Pope, they used like a hyperbolic Italian accent.
Yeah.
Like,
the Vatican.
Well done,
Americans
boys.
being Italian. It was great.
Well done, boys. All around. Chris Barnes, I think. Okay, so for me, I have graduation time around the corner here. And I had a few people email in, I think specifically frustrated about their commencement speakers at their Catholic university.
Yeah, every year this is an issue.
Was it St. Mary's?
Yeah.
I think it was St. Mary's is having like someone from Ireland who championed passing abortion legislation is like her marquee.
Yeah, like 3 different, speakers.
One wasn't enough.
And then Jamie Raskin or whatever, the Congress. It's just like, what in the world? Like, this is crazy.
Crazy stuff. But hey, Cardinal Newman Guide, if you want to sponsor the podcast, we will happily accept it. But we got a run through of the speakers this year. Yeah. My alma mater, Ave Maria University, great choice. Michael Knowles will be delivering theirs, which I'm kind of jealous about. I wish I could go down for it. Benedictine College has Sister Dee.
She is awesome.
She is fire to listen to. That another one. Wish I could be everywhere. Gosh.
She's the best. Belmont Abbey is having their own Student of the Year deliver. We have CUA has Robert Barron.
Good job. My alma mater.
Good job, CUA. That'll be a good one. Christendom has Francis X. Mayer.
Graham Mayer is awesome, dude.
He's a fan of Catholic Vote. He loved our book, How Catholics Will Save America.
Shout out, Mayer. Franciscan University, Mary Ray Sasson. Erica, I believe you've done some interviews with her.
I love that woman. She's awesome. Yep. Also friend of Catholic Vote.
We got some real heaters so far. I didn't even know Holy Apostles College and Seminary was.
Yeah, that's here in Connecticut. My daughter does dual enrollment with them.
Oh, that's cool.
Program. Check it out if you homeschool your high schooler.
Nice. James Wahlberg there. We have Seat of Wisdom College, Bishop Scott McCraig, Military Ordinariate out of Canada. TAC, Dr. Kevin Roberts.
Oh, awesome. I could drive to that one. That was only a couple hours from me.
Check it out. Get back to us.
Love it. I will.
We have Dr. Michael McLean at TAC in California. We have Thomas Moore's got Dr. Kevin Roberts as well. And then Sister Josephine Garrett at UD, Texas native.
And
awesome.
UD sponsor of the program. So thank you, University of Dallas.
Yeah, thanks, University of Dallas.
Shout out UD.
Maybe they'll get Brian Birch on there one of these years.
Yeah. So I was happy to see that. Okay. So we got Twilight Zone now. We have Erica. I believe you're up first.
I'll go up first. All right. So I woke up this morning to a refreshing series of tweets from one of my favorites, Archbishop Cordileone, the Heart of the Lion. I just love that his name means Heart of the Lion. So I woke up and he has this. If you could pull that up there, go.
Yep.
That'd be great. And he says, why? And then it's like, why don't you kneel? So Catholic Arena had posted Cardinal Arinzi talking about kneeling to receive communion. And he, of course, was talking about how if a priest treats you like you're doing something wrong when you kneel to receive the Eucharist, they're like, why don't you kneel? Why don't you crawl to receive Jesus, our Lord and Savior? And Cordileone goes, yeah, why don't you kneel? Well, if kneelers are not provided, only the very young with healthy knees can kneel. I'm like, okay, that's kind of a weird take. But then if you go to his account, Pogo, for the next 2 hours, Cordileone is posting things like, priests, we have a problem. Older people can't kneel. Priests, wake up. Priests. And he's just posting again and again. And then he finds other people who have been proponents of kneeling to receive and how other parishes and other archdioceses and dioceses have made accommodations for people to kneel to receive. And he's like, here's an idea. Priests, here's another idea. So I think Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone is trying to send a message to the priests of his archdiocese. Guys, let's make it easier for people to choose reverence, to choose kneeling to receive. And I am all here for it. It was
Erica,
yes.
Sorry, I think the context is potentially necessary here. I think, Josh, you brought up on the show that, was it a priest at the Vatican or was it a German priest or something, got onto the mic and basically excoriated people for kneeling to receive or receiving on the tongue, maybe?
Right. It was this very strange, that it was during a mass in France, and he got up, the bishop, afterwards, and he was excoriating the few people who wanted to receive on the tongue as being holier than thou and prideful. And it was very strange that he would use the platform, and very jarring as well, especially since the germ indicates, if we were going to be all Jesuitical, if we're going to be very rule following, the germ indicates that it's preferable to receive on the tongue.
It's weird to have churchmen that hate the people in the church.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of sheep smelling going on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Can we watch this clip, Erica?
Yeah, he's great. Go for it, Cardinal Arinzi.
The church never said that. Rome never said that. It is like some churches where they have removed the altar rails. The church from Rome never said to remove the altar rails. But if you can find any document from Rome saying, remove the altar rails, I will give you a turkey. Unfortunately, after Second Vatican Council, some liturgy experts began to spread this idea. And we have reached a stage where some now are against kneeling. If you kneel, they are harsh on you. They treat you as if you did something wrong. What is wrong with that? If you believe that Christ is our God and he is present, why don't you kneel? Why don't you crawl?
Amen, brother.
Why not show respect? I grant that a diocese has the right to give instruction so that the congregation moves in the same way. When to stand or sit or kneel. The documents from Rome do not go to too much detail, allowing dioceses some freedom. When the diocese regiments too much, it becomes material for us to talk with the bishop privately. Mm-hmm. And our language would be, why do you regiment the people of God? Are the soldiers? Allow them some freedom. For example, when people have received Holy Communion, they return to their seats. There is no...
Okay, can I ask, Erica?
Yeah.
What So you're saying there's no document from Rome that came down and said, hey, remove the altar rails. Hey, don't kneel. And yet, if you go
gone.
I'd say average Catholic Church in
Yeah.
America, they're all gone, right? Everyone's standing. Why?
Prediction,
who made the
there'll be more of
argument
them in 10
against?
years.
Who made the why? What's a good faith argument against kneeling to receive the Eucharist?
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll remember.
Maybe there isn't one, right? It could be bad faith, but just what was the argument in general?
There's a few different arguments. So it was interesting. All of the liturgical reforms that happened after Vatican II, they called upon the spirit of Vatican II as their justification for them, but they aren't actually in the documents. And many of the liturgical documents from the council actually urged the retention of many traditional practices in the liturgy, such as the use of the Latin language, for example. But liturgists who, again, this is sort of like experts rule us, this progressive notion that had infiltrated the church as well as the secular world, that we need to be ruled by experts. They say things like, the procession of the people going forward is symbolic of the people of God. The Eucharist is more of a meal, a communal meal, than reception of, the emphasis on the divine is at the expense of emphasis on Christ's humanity and our own collective communities. And all of this very, again, spirit of Vatican II speak that I think was used to further a progressive agenda in the church by people who, frankly, probably didn't all, we know now from polling, didn't all actually believe that the Eucharist is the body and blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ, right? It would be a very long episode to do a deep dive on why we have the liturgical practices that we do now. The point here that Arinzi's making is that it didn't come from a council or the magisterium or tradition or a pope. It came from experts in the liturgy. And I think one of the reasons Benedict wanted to open up the doors and free the extraordinary form of the Mass was so that it could once again have an influence on the Novus Ordo and start to bring back, and we've seen this in some parishes in the United States, to bring back those more traditional liturgical practices like the Latin, even in the Novus Ordo, like kneeling and using altar rails. Women veiling is coming back as well. We've talked about that on the program.
You know what the biggest issue of all that is, in terms of the liturgy?
Yes, tell me.
Reverence.
Yes, reverence.
Latin or English, the biggest thing I care about is I want to be somewhere where we worship Jesus Christ and show reverence for the Blessed Sacrament in what we wear and what we do.
What
and
we
that's
sing.
actually, there was a discussion about this online. Anthony Esselin talking about how everyone is just wearing t-shirts and shorts all the time and like dress up a little bit. And church should be one of those places, absolutely, where you do that.
And silence.
You would wear a nice shirt and tie when you go watch a baseball game in the 1960s. And now we wear sports jerseys at Mass. Like, what have we done with it? People, what are we doing?
For women, shirts are optional now. I mean, there's so many sports bras walking around. The weather got warm and I'm like, where are the shirts, ladies? Forgot to put a shirt on. But I think that also, I went to a Novus Ordo Mass this weekend outside of my regular parish because of some travel stuff that we were doing. And what struck me was there was not a moment of silence the entire Mass. The guitars were banging on the guitars from the moment they said, "Welcome to St. Blank's," until the end. And then as soon as the processional hymn ended, the entire congregation just started blah, 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 like running around. Like, what is going on? I'm not used to that. And I think it would be great for all parishes to return to some semblance of that reverence before the presence of the tabernacle, of Christ in the tabernacle. It was kind of jarring. Unfortunately, Cardinal Arinzi, for those of you wondering, very wise man. He is 92 years old, though, so he will not be in the conclave. But he will be praying, I am sure. He is a very holy man. Right up there with Cardinal Sarah for me.
And you get some of these liberals who are like, oh my gosh, all these white Catholics in America will be really upset if the Cardinals if the Cardinals pick a new pope that's black out of Africa. It's like, are you kidding me?
You know who's going to be upset?
I would have loved him in 2013.
Right.
Yeah. I know. Now, Sarah, let's go. I would be ecstatic. It would be James
number one pick for your Pope draft, Josh?
Oh, Pope draft.
He's my number one. I would like selected
in your heart.
I would say, Erdo still has probably a better chance, and Pizzabella has probably got it. I think he's probably the best shot.
Man of the moment.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the people who would be most upset. I watched. Did either of you watch Ross Douthat interview Father James Martin? I mean,
did.
Yeah,
I
that's
read through it.
a fascinating one. Several times in that interview, Father James Martin mentions sub-Saharan Africa, and he does not do so in an excited tone, like, "Oh, isn't it great?"
Certainly not.
He really was like, Francis couldn't go as far as he wanted to go because of sub-Saharan Africa. So the people who are going to be really upset if Sarah or like someone like Arinze ends up in Peter's throne there, it's going to be Father James Martin because he'll be like, "Oh, darn it, can't go
Yeah.
wanted to again." That's who's really going to be upset.
Erica, sorry, just in the interest of time, I saw a good question in the chat. I don't know if we have answers now. Maybe we could go collect it. But I'm seeing the polling of young priests, their orthodoxy, and I saw a great graph. I mean, it's shocking from the 60s to now.
It's like a turn.
Vast majority are not only just Orthodox, but consider themselves very Orthodox. So someone in the chat, I think Udesi said, asked, what can we do to bring back tradition to our parishes? And I see this new wave of, people that are probably going to be very open to say bringing back altar rails or changing their liturgical practices to be more reverent. Is there a good way? Like, do you have any advice? Are there organizations out there or things that you can do to have
anything
a
that
good
says
conversation?
Oregon Catholic Press, put it into a fire and just
the Easter fire,
the Gatber.
Oh my gosh.
I call it gather hymnals Gatber when I was a kid because it looked like a bee.
Yeah. Parishes are hard. Parish life is very, very difficult. And the reality is that there's still a deep divide in many parishes about what reverence means or looks like or how we ought to worship. A lot of it is just practice reverence yourself. So if there are ways that you can examine how you approach the Eucharist, how you train your children to attend Mass and behave during Mass. How do you go early and kneel and pray? Do you stay? Do you kneel down after the recessional hymn and thank God for the priest and pray for his vocation?
And dress the part.
Yeah, dress the part and be willing to stand out like a sore thumb sometimes. But and pray. Yeah, pray. A lot of the times it still depends so much on the pastor, and you have to know who you're working with. Don't push them too hard. Understand that they're dealing with a lot.
Encourage, when he does something like, "Thank you, Father. I thought it was a great homily where you said that. Like, it's so helpful for us to know to be reverent. Thank you so much." So, kill him with kindness kind of stuff.
Kill him with kindness. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just a little bit more naive and haven't had as many experiences as you guys have here, but I think most pastors are open to at least meeting with you. Like, if you had serious issues or you have suggestions or like, hey, I've seen this, I've read this, like, would you consider this? Mm-hmm. And then you can at least feel out the perspective of the pastor. And then at least you're going to get the vibe like, oh, he's not open at all. He's actually very anti. And then, that's probably a sign you maybe need to find another church. But I think there are a decent amount of pastors that are open to want to listen to what the parishioners have to say. And if enough people go talk to the pastor and have these conversations, it might start the wheels turning of like, oh, maybe we need to start a conversation about liturgical practices, et cetera.
So there's this account on Twitter now, X, Susan from the parish council or whatever, and it just kind of embodied what so many of us had experienced over the last 30, 40 years, where there's this boomer woman who's basically making herself the queen of a parish and would dictate certain things. And like, we had one at my parish and she was horrifying. She was horrible. Like, and people would like take their kids to get formation at another parish and then come back. So everyone had some of these experiences, but you know what? She's retiring. These Susans from parish councils are starting to retire, and these younger priests are like, okay, finally, I don't have this battle axe to deal with, and we can actually get moving forward without everyone causing dissension and blowing everything up. And so my parish priest is younger. He's like 36 or so. He's been able to implement so many things. He's now doing, where he's actually no longer turning his back on Jesus and looking at the tabernacle, which is nice, and explaining it to people so that, there aren't people that get all miffy now. And it's things are moving in the right direction.
Amen.
Josh.
Well, before I get to my Twilight Zone thing, I just want to add one little thing. There's a report issued today by Ethics and Public Policy Center on mifepristone. So be sure to check out the Loop tomorrow for a lot of great information on that. Regarding the conclave, I just want to add this little thing. I mean, this is kind of crazy. Cardinal Michael Czerny of Canada was saying talking about, unity is like the buzzword. He goes, he said of unity, it sounds really good. And this is one of Pope Francis's closest advisors. He goes, it means reversal. If you ask me, how would you name the Ron tract for the conclave? I would say the idea that unity is the priority. Unity cannot be a priority issue. And I'm thinking to myself, not Peter the source of our unity? Like, what are you talking about?
Didn't Jesus say something about they may be one?
It's almost like you're upset by the fact that everyone was saying that Francis was, in fact, the opposite of unity, that he was divisive. Maybe that's not. Maybe you should look in the mirror, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I want to switch to politics real quick. And every year, the White House Correspondents Association, these are all the reporters that cover the White House. They get together and they have a little ball where they get dressed up. And it's called Nerd Prom because they're all reporters. I'm a reporter too. I'm a nerd. I get it.
Yeah, you're a nerd. Yeah.
We're nerds.
And so the Associated Press's Zeke Miller stands up, and all these journalists were just like so proud of each other, all the work. And he goes, and we are committed, to work hard.
Well, he's marginalized because they kicked the AP out for not calling the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. So
he's a victim.
To the town of White House, from the White House to the town of White House, Texas, it's a real place, Peoria to the Persian Gulf, we at AP remain committed as ever to accurate, independent, nonpartisan journalism, to carrying light the world over.
Sharp as a tack.
Oh, really? Somebody, John Erkdahl, he's so funny. He brought receipts back in 2012, right a few weeks before the election. This same AP reporter tweeted out, Romney motorcade just passed the hill flying a large Confederate flag in rural southwestern Virginia. Yeah, you're so independent. Like what? Like he just happens to be driving by a Confederate flag and you're going to somehow make it seem like this is all clearly part of the Romney campaign. I mean, I did not like Romney at all. I mean, but like he's upper, class. Yes, he might have been raised in Michigan, but he made a fortune in Boston. I mean, you're going to somehow associate him with redneck Confederates? Like,
I don't know. He's raised in Michigan. It's a fun fact. Did you see the guy from Axios?
Yes.
Ripped everyone over.
He ripped everyone there. That was actually pretty sweet.
But Trump didn't go. So the president usually goes to these things. Trump didn't go, and they didn't even have a comedian. It was all journalists congratulating themselves the whole time. It's just
made it insufferable.
Did they invite MMO? Did they invite the Daily?
No. Actually, I can't confirm. I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
You know what they should do? MMO and some of these other, alternative media sources at the White House, they should form their own association.
Have their own party too.
Yeah. And I bet it'd be a lot more fun.
More fun.
My wife and I last night watched like 20 minutes of a compilation of Trump in the media. It truly. So we were trying to find like stand-up comedy. We were like, we want to laugh. And we kind of started a few. They weren't good. And then we saw YouTube videos like top moments Trump in the media. Yeah. Truly funnier than any of the stand-up
Trump is the consummate stand-up comedian.
And he's the president of the United States once over. It's like hard to even just wrap your mind around like this guy's at the helm right now. And all he did was just ruthlessly mock. Still does. Crazy. So color me not shocked he didn't show up to the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
You know, it would have been funny if you'd have crashed it. Just get up to the podium like Andrew Breitbart and just start.
Didn't he invite who did he invite to the White House to cover him? He tweeted about it. He's like, I invited X news organization to profile me. I see it as a challenge and it's going to be fun. I can't remember who it was.
I don't remember that, but I mean, it was, what was it? Seth Meyers who made fun of Donald Trump at one of these press conference things. That was like in 2011. That was like the OG story for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Many are saying that was when he originally decided to run. All right. Final one I'm going to round out here. Talk about the worst luck of all time. So Kristi Noem was in the news because she had her bag stolen at a restaurant in DC, and she's the Department of Homeland Security. So everyone's like, haha, getting in their jokes on it. Turns out the guy who stole it, illegal immigrant.
Oh.
Of all the bags to steal.
What? Oh my gosh.
The Department of Homeland Security's bag. Man, that is a tough call. Oh man.
But he better get due process, y'all.
Oh yeah. What are the chances? Yeah, I saw someone shared this. I was dying. It's like, quote, you're an illegal immigrant. What do you want to do? Steal a random purse, rolls dice. Oof, you rolled a 1. You've stolen the purse of the DHS secretary. Oh man, dude. Chile and Marvin still, jeez. So we
bookend their best.
Yeah, not exactly. All right, guys. Fun episode today. We'll be back with another one on Wednesday. If you want to support us, go check out the Champions Clubs. Best way to support us, catholicvote.org/champions. Thank you to all our champions listening today. If you want to support our sponsors, University of Dallas, go check them out. Sign their pledge. And then leave a review. Someone leave a review ASAP. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied because we have the mark of the beast amount of reviews on Apple Podcasts. We're at 666 right now. So someone get that to 667 ASAP. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, you can say that's why you're doing it.
But I
don't even care. You might not even like the show. It doesn't matter. Just get us out of there. You can say that's why you're doing it. It doesn't matter. I appreciate the help on that one. Spotify video and comments. So if you want to leave comments, I see those and interact, which is great. And then YouTube, of course, kind of the hub. Got all kinds of new stuff coming for you. So go there to check it out. Email me if you got questions or things you want us to talk about. LOOPcast@catholicvote.org. Looking for those always. And then pray for us. St. Thomas More, St. Fidelis, Our Lady of Guadalupe. Pray for us. And